What do you get when you combine Harry Houdini's abilities to escape and Pablo Escobar's drug lord status? Joaquin Guzman Loera, better known as El Chapo. Founder of the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo was known for the brutal violence he inflicted on his enemies. Currently, El Chapo resides in a Colorado Supermax penitentiary, but before his final capture, the infamous criminal escaped from prison not once but twice. Here are the ingenious ways El Chapo escaped from prison. Like and subscribe for more videos. In 1993, El Chapo was arrested after a shootout with the Tijuana cartel went awry. The leader of the Tijuana cartel sent assassins to the Guadalajara airport to kill El Chapo, who used the airport frequently. When the killers found El Chapo hiding in a white Mercury Grand Marquis, they ascended on the vehicle with a hail of gunfire. But El Chapo wasn't in the car. El Chapo was in a sedan watching from feet away. Inside the Mercury Grand Marquis was the Archbishop of Guadalajara, Juan Jesus Posadas Ocampo, who died from 14 gunshots. 6 other people were killed in the shootout. El Chapo fled amidst the chaos and confusion at the airport to a safe house 20 miles away. The murder of the cardinal and 6 innocent people at the airport outraged locals who wanted the men responsible caught. A search ensued for the cardinal's murderers, but also for Guzman, the target of the attack. Eventually, El Chapo was arrested by the Guatemalan army at a hotel near the border of Guatemala and Mexico. Sentenced to 20 years in prison, El Chapo maintained his power even while incarcerated. El Chapo's brother ran things on the outside for him while he served his sentence. He would bribe the corrections officers and prison officials for conjugal visits and to run his drug operation without interference. By 2001, El Chapo had grown tired of prison life and was ready to leave, but his sentence wasn't up yet. He decided to take it upon himself to break out of Puente Grande, the maximum security unit he had been incarcerated in since 1995. It's not that El Chapo's time in prison was all terrible. The drug lord had access to good food, women, and sports. Plus, he could still run drug operations. Things changed in 2001, though, when Mexican officials declared it was okay for the United States to extradite Mexican criminals like El Chapo if the death penalty was not an option. There was nothing the criminal feared more than an American prison. El Chapo knew he needed to get to freedom immediately. So the next day, El Chapo hid in a laundry cart and a guard rolled him to freedom. Annabelle Hernandez argues in her book Narcoland that the laundry cart tale is one of fiction created to cover up the truth, that El Chapo walked out and no one stopped him. Either way, once El Chapo was outside the prison doors, he was taken to a gas station by a prison maintenance worker he bribed. From there, El Chapo ran off. The manatee worker and prisoner director were arrested for aiding El Chapo in his getaway. A guard who refused to help El Chapo was murdered years later. Following his escape, El Chapo spent the next 13 years in hiding. Most of the time, he was hiding in the Sierra Madre Mountains. While in hiding, El Chapo continued to run his massive drug empire. All the while, agents from several agencies scored the world for him. Agents finally caught up with the drug kingpin in February 2014 when he was arrested in Mazatlan, Mexico. Mexican authorities said this time El Chapo wasn't going to escape, but within 18 months, he had broken out of prison. In July 2015, El Chapo escaped from lockup a second time. This time he fled from Altiplano Prison, a maximum security prison in Mexico. El Chapo, held in the Altiplano prison's most secured ward, climbed through a small hole under the shower in his jail cell. Once through the hole in his shower, El Chapo walked through a tunnel over a mile long. The tunnel had ventilation and lights. A motorbike was also in the tunnel used to transport digging tools. When El Chapo reached the end of the tunnel, he climbed out using a ladder into a construction site near the Mexican city of Toluca. Now you must be wondering how El Chapo's cartel managed to dig all the way into a prison without getting noticed. Turns out that they bought the land around the prison in order to avoid detection. When prison officials realized El Chapo was missing, they shut down Altiplano Prison and the local airport. Over 30 employees were interrogated after El Chapo's escape, checking to see if he bribed any of them. The Mexican government was embarrassed by El Chapo's second escape, especially since they had only recaptured him a year before. In January 2016, Mexican authorities recaptured El Chapo. Days before his capture, El Chapo met with American actor Sean Penn. The drug lord wanted to make a movie about his life and wanted Sean Penn to star in it. Agents later said El Chapo's electronic exchanges with the actor helped lead to his arrest. El Chapo was sent back to the same prison he escaped, but not for long. Soon his worst fears came true. El Chapo was extradited to America. He was sent to Brooklyn, New York, where he faced over a dozen federal charges. He pled not guilty, and the trial began in November 2018. After hundreds of hours of testimony, El Chapo was found guilty of all the charges against him, along Along with a life sentence, a judge sentenced El Chapo to pay over $1 million in restitution. Since the Colorado Supermax prison housing El Chapo was built in 1994, no one has ever escaped. A former warden referred to the prison as a place worse than death. Today, El Chapo lives in a 7-foot by 12-foot concrete cell for 23 hours a day. His bed, desk, and chair are all concrete and attached to the wall, so El Chapo cannot move them. The cell has a toilet and a shower, which works on a timer to avoid flooding. Electricity in the prison cells is controlled by the corrections officers, meaning when they say lights out, it's lights out, even if El Chapo was in the middle of reading. El Chapo's attorneys are currently working on his appeals. He is also pleading with Mexican authorities to have him return to his homeland. Despite the odds against him, El Chapo is allegedly optimistic about his appeals, or maybe he has another escape plan up his sleeve. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.